welcome to Caesar's Snack Sandwich. Today I'm going to be taking a quick look at Delisium. Now, Delisium is a pretty new concept. This is kind of outside of my realm of expertise, but it is quite interesting. Basically, Delisium aims to be an on-chain mega multiplayer game. Like role-playing game, so to speak. It's like a first-person shooter, right? Like I'll show you this, like this trailer here. At the end, I'll let it run, but basically, it's running around shooting each other. But what makes this thing different and what makes this thing applicable to my channel is the use of cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology to create the economic system of this game. So you can come and check out this website yourself. I'll put links to it in the description. You can read the docs as well. The docs is not very good, so I went digging in through their mediums, and there are these two mediums that I'm going to show you. I'll link to them in the description, and I would suggest you to read them if you want to know more in depth. But I will go through and a few things that I've highlighted in these mediums and talk about a bit about each little aspect. But let's first go over here to this Delisium Multiverse Accelerator. Because if you look over here, you can buy these NFTs from the marketplace here. You can, and then there's this DMA, which is kind of like you can buy this like staking, boosting NFT thing. Okay, so that's in here. So let's go over to what this is right now. Okay. So it's pretty simple. Like in my mind, in my understanding of this, there are three actors or three participants in this system. Well, maybe four participants in this system actually. So there's the game player user who just plays the game. Maybe he has to pay a subscription fee. Maybe he has to buy certain things with money, like I want to buy a gun and stuff like this. So there's the player, right? Then there is the Delisium team, which maintains the game itself, right? So has built the actual engine that runs the game itself. And then there are these two actors here. They're called the Delisium Multiverse Accelerator. So this is kind of like a person who wants to influence the game a little bit. And then we have Delisium Multiverse Operator. Now this is, in my mind, the way I'm looking at this is kind of like a server. So the Delisium Multiverse Operator creates a server. Now the server is actually hosted by the Delisium team, the technical team, but the Delisium Multiverse Operator can change the settings of that server, can maybe add like certain aspects, or maybe like think if it's like something like, let's say Nike were to be a Delisium Multiverse Operator, then they could put Nike logos all over the faces of things. They could have like a Nike store inside this little universe and stuff like this, right? This is kind of, I'm really thinking outside the box here, but this is kind of the way I'm thinking about it, right? And then we have these Delisium Multiverse Accelerators. Now these are like smaller participants who want to incentivize certain aspects of the game. So what they would do is they would buy this DMA, right? And then they would stake the DES tokens, right? And then the universe would generate some yield. And I'll get into that when I go through the article, what I think how the universe will be able to generate yield. And then that yield is used to like basically buy back some DS tokens and give them to the stakers of the DS tokens. So if you have a DMA, you can access some of that data, and you can kind of like direct the staking of this DS token to the universe, the DMO that you particularly want to incentivize, right? You want people to play in this server, and then you want them to do these certain things. So you can basically stake some tokens and ask people, reward people for doing those certain aspects in that certain server, right? Now, this DMA also will boost your own staking rewards that you get. So this is perhaps a user can also take part in this. Like a player might also want the DMA because then he's going to get boosted rewards from playing the game as well. Now let's go over to these articles here, and I'm just going to scroll down to the aspects that I found to be very interesting, intriguing. So the first thing here they talk about is like the contrast between Web 2 and Web 3, and how Web 2 they collect a lot of data. The data sits on the servers. They use the data to make decisions, right? So in Web 3, they say that the data can be decentralized. So anyone can access some of that data. Like of course, they're not going to give out your personal IP address or something like this, but maybe let me continue. Like some data will be housed on the server, but let me just read it. In Web3, instead of the traditional centralized database unlocks its gate and becomes decentralized. The public can freely access and utilize it, and this directly invalidates the traditional Web2 business model. So basically, a lot of the stuff will be on-chain, and I'll get into this a little bit more as I read other important things, okay? So they talk about these different layers, okay? And this is where we talk more about that data, right? So they have these different layers. They have the experience layer, which is basically like the in-game play, right? The gameplay. And like it says, the Delisium game development and producer team will be the primary contributors to the game experience and responsible for developing in-game items, gameplay, and mechanics. So this is going to be centralized to the Delisium team. The Delisium team will build the game. They will run the game. If there needs to be a change, there's a bug, they will deal with this. And that they need to be incentivized. So this system that they've developed here will help to also incentivize the developers to continue to produce content inside this game. So like, just they have to build the game, run the game, maintain the game, run the servers and stuff like that. So the data layer, it says, in order to provide a stable and smooth gaming experience, part of the interaction data generated by players in-game will be stored as open data in a centralized way, whereas all the interaction data between players and on-chain assets will be recorded in a decentralized way. So some of the things they will keep on their servers because, it's just, you don't like every kill or every shot. Like, oh, he ran out those staircase and he jumped down into that hole and threw a grenade. Like that doesn't need to be on chain, right? So a lot of stuff will be held in a centralized way. But this data might be like useful. Like if I want to pay to have like my logo put onto a wall, I want to be put on a wall that has high traffic. So this data is still useful, and they will have I would assume, it's not very clear here, but I assume that in order for me to access that, I will have to either buy that DES token and stake it, or maybe even just, buy it and spend it and use it, right? Pay it to the team to access that kind of data. Whereas other things like, like on-chain, like who owns what NFT, who owns what guns and stuff like that, that will all be on-chain, right? And then they talk about this incentive layer. Okay, so we've got the gameplay, we've got the data, and then we've got the incentive layer. So let's read what this is. At this point, everyone can access the data and use it to determine what kind of incentives should be provided. So again, like I might want to incentivize people with my token to, pick up that thing, or to do this quest, or do this, kill all of the people and win, you get my token. So then I'm kind of advertising my system, my token system, or whatever that might be, to the people playing this game. So people play the game, they win. They're obviously good at the game because they beat all of the other people in that like battle royal match, right? So I want to give those people. It's kind of like if you think of like the airdrop system now. It's not just like airdrop to everybody. What they do now, they choose the people who wants to get airdropped based on what they have done. So this case can be here as well. Like I can see that like somebody, like some product or some, decentralized community might want to target individual people who are very good at this game. I don't have any ideas off the top of my head, but I think you guys can see where I'm going with that, right? And then onto this other article here, and we move down to, as you can see, like some of the images and stuff. Now, this is interesting. AI meta-being technology. So AI meta-being technologies are granted private property rights in-game and can hold assets, participate in the economy as well as game modes, and earn income similar to human beings. At the core, metagames are key contributors to the Delisium ecosystem and engage in rational economic behaviors such as consumption and investment. So think of it this way. These are the NPCs. So the NPCs will generate yield. Because like, let's say I want to sell my gun. Like right now it shows it on like being able to sell the gun on the website right here, right? As these NFTs I can sell to other users. But maybe I want to sell it just to the NPC. Like maybe it's like more of like a fungible thing, like ammo, right? I'll sell it to the NPC. However, the NPC will turn a profit and sell it, to other people for more, right? Because he's using proper economic behavior, right? And then that profit will be generated to the universe. So the universe will generate that. Let's say the people who play today are not very good, and the NPCs that they're playing against beat them and they win. So they generate the profit. They get the rewards. And then that goes to the universe, which then, becomes operational revenue, goes to the staking holders of this DES token. Okay. So this is pretty interesting. And then I also have some other ideas, like say somebody who designs art or designs like the mechanics of some sort of weapon or something like that. So they could possibly open an NPC to sell their pieces, or they could sell them their own pieces. I'm not sure where they would fall into this category, whether they'd have to be a DMA holder or a Delisium, a universe operator, probably the universe operator, but maybe the DMA holders can talk to the DMO operators and be like, hey, like I make these cool guns, I have these cool drawings, I can make these cool clothes, or whatever it is, these skins, and I want to put them in your universe, and the universe can then deal with them through that kind of system of like, okay, do this, and then we will put your stuff in our game and so forth. Okay, so moving down a little bit more, we have the last thing here is Delisium multiverse operators are able to design and set different distribution rules to issue on-chain incentives to players who meet the requirements, which can be based on playtime, in-game performance, social relationships, and in-game contributions. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of leeway there. It's not just like the people who win the battles, like the game, gameplay, playtime. Maybe the people who play the most get, like the operator decides, I want people to play here the longest because most of my yield generation is through visual aspects of like advertising, so I want people in the game the most, so I'm going to incentivize that. Or I want people who are the best at the game, so I am going to incentivize that. Or I want people who help each other, who have social interactions, like talk to each other, build little teams and play that way. And whatever like they see fit as the thing to incentivize, they can kind of control this aspect of incentivization through, being a DMO operator and deciding what they believe is best, and then the team themselves just implementing what they're told to implement in that sense. So here's an example that they provide, and that is like basically like a battle royale game. The last survivors of each will be distributed tokens, in-game resources, NFTs as rewards, etc. So this is like basically like what the main idea that I've thought of all along, and that is like, if you win the game, you get some NFTs, then you can sell those NFTs to other players so that they can maybe win, right? Now, I think this is pretty interesting. It's pretty clever. Like, I like the idea that they're trying to decentralize this aspect instead of like a lot of PvP battle royale first-person shooter games. You will buy those things and those different aspects, those power-ups, those guns, those tools, the armor, whatever. You will buy those. That money will go to a centralized company. That company will decide how to distribute that money to their employees and or whatever. There'll be a profitable system. Whereas in this system, they're trying to spread that out more. So the developers have their own little club, right? That they are the ones building the game. And I assume that these DMOs will have some sort of subscription fee to them to keep them paid and working. We have the DMOs who are in kind of setting like the investors, so to speak, in the system, who will obviously have some motivation for investing in a server and having that server, be popular and used. And then we have the people who are playing the game, and then those people who are just kind of trying to get their product into those more popular DMOs or those more popular servers. So that's pretty much it. This is kind of long, a little bit longer than I thought it would take, but I think it's interesting. I guess I'll put this on and kind of say the last few things while we're watching. I think it looks pretty good. Like, of course, I don't play first-person shooters too much, and they're kind of a dime a dozen nowadays. But this is not like, it doesn't look like it was produced by a with no effort whatsoever. Now, again, this is pre-alpha test, so take that as a grain of salt. Come and check it out. Come and join the Discord, ask whatever questions you want to, and find out whether or not you think this game is interesting and whether or not you want to know more about it. So, appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.